3 presentations. So the first part, we had plenary sessions, and then later on we had 3 breakaway sessions. During the plenary, we had presentations made by our colleague from JICA, Dr. Stephen Mogere, who made a presentation entitled Passage Across Borders. And then number 2, we also had our colleague who joined us virtually from NEPAD, the Africa Union Development Agency, made a presentation regarding PIDA PAP 2 and its implication in our region. And then number 3, plenary session, we had our good friend later on in the afternoon from Trademark Africa, Bishak Sharma, who made a presentation entitled State of Infrastructure and Trade Facilitation in the Igad region. I think he focused on East Africa more, but I think you could see the linkage of the infrastructure and the trade facilitation that flows across to other countries within our region. During the breakaway sessions, we had 3 breakaway sessions, one on infrastructure, where we got a presentation made by Jamie Simpson from Triple Line Consulting, where he talked about financing infrastructure in our region. And then we had a second breakaway session focusing on transport, specifically on rail transport in Kenya. Engineer Tobias Otieno from the Kenya Railway Corporation made that presentation, and that evoked some discussion from those who attended that particular breakaway session. Last but not least, we also had a breakaway session on energy that was given by Mr. James Wahogo from the East Africa Power Pool. This is an organization that has been helping with the facilitation of power sharing. And his presentation focused on energy generation, transmission, and regional trade. Now, there are a number of key observations that were made during discussions following those presentations. And just to highlight a few of them, is that one of the things that came out very clearly is that financing arrangements for infrastructure are very, very complex and expensive. Therefore, we have to look for alternative financing and explore other financing means, considering that the economy in our region is quite fragile. The economies in our region are very fragile, and as governments borrow money, they need to consider the cost of funds that they borrow while harnessing domestic saving. Now, the bottom line here is that we also need to develop appropriate regulatory frameworks, including conflict resolution mechanism when it comes to financing. 2, we also observed that development agencies have adapted the corridor approach in opening up the region. However, resettlement and preservation of socio-cultural artifacts and compensation can be very expensive, and sometimes it takes really a long time, therefore delaying implementation. To speed up this, member states and development partners need to have adequate resource allocated for this purpose. 3, UDA, the Africa Union Development Agency, which we all know as NEPAD, have also adopted the integrated corridor approach in line with their as their delivery model. This is based on multi-sectorial economic development corridors as an annex between all the Africa Union Development Agency programs that include infrastructure, industrialization, trade, agriculture, development, food security, education, and health, just to mention but a few. Number 4, projects could still be considered as unbankable, even after preparation. This is something that we observed during the presentations and the discussions. Now, to resolve this, the projects that become unbankable even after spending a lot of resources preparing them, it will, the PIDA PAP 2 stated that there is now standardizing and systematizing in the preparation cycle to meet minimum standards for bankability. Quality of entry and exit of each stage of the cycle is being examined to ensure that standards are met. The standards that are set are met. It was also observed that project preparations currently, as we sit here, is taking between 7 to 9 years. In some cases, parts of the projects being worked on have taken so long that feasibility studies have to be updated. The aim is to bring this period down to about 3 years. Member states have a role to play in increasing the pace of project preparation, resource mobilization, and implementation. 6, we also observe that strategic studies should be done collaboratively across member states and development partners, including, under the master plan. This should aim at harmonizing planning and implementation of regional projects. Furthermore, there is need for harmonizing capacity building of engineers and technical workers in the implementation of regional railway network. I think we seem to have all embraced the standard gauge railway, and therefore we need to standardize the training and capacity building of our engineers and technical workers as we implement these kind of projects. At the moment, there is a proposal, or there is a proposed framework under which member states will collaborate in establishing and running an energy exchange platform, which will help to increase the supply and then also reduce the cost of production as well as the cost of power to the customers. Number 8, development corridors need to have good multimodality to reduce greenhouse emission, raise quality of roads, and ease the movement of persons and goods across the region. Last but not least, we also observed that the health sector has never been incorporated in infrastructure development, but COVID-19 pandemic has shown us that it is necessary to plan with the ministries of health as key partners in infrastructure development. So those were the observations we made, going with those observations, we made 4 calls for action, or to action. 1, that member states and development agencies should have a financing strategy to fund project preparation. This will increase efficiency in resource mobilization and project implementation. 2, member states should hold discussions to reach convergence on co-financing approaches, especially for PPPs. Number 3, member states should build harmony on procurement processes while safeguarding approaches of development partners. Last but not the least, in planning corridors, member states should adapt system design thinking that takes care of all factors, including all players and funding options. The commercial side of a project needs to be part of the thinking, instead of silo thinking that only focuses on the physical infrastructure. So those were the observation and the call to actions that we came up with yesterday, and I hope the team of rapporteurs of James, Christine, and Mubarak did justice, but if there is any issue that we left out, maybe it can be flagged up in the plenary. So the plenary is open. Before we go to the presentations, is there anything that was left out, or does that capture what we discussed, what we observed, and what we are calling to action? Silence means that the rapporteurs did a good job, and therefore, without further ado, allow me to call our first presenter this morning. We are moving to where the road meets, or the rubber meets the road, not the road meets the rubber, but the other way around. The rubber meets the road. And our first presentation is coming to us from the Horn of Africa Initiative Secretariat that is currently being headed by Djibouti. And the presentation that is going to be made is entitled Priority Projects Relating to Infrastructure. The head of the Secretariat, who is Abdulrazak Ahmed Idris, is going to make this presentation. He is the head of the Horn of Africa Initiative Secretariat. He is also the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Economy and Finance in Djibouti. He has held this office since 2018. The Horn of Africa Initiative Secretariat is based, as I said, is based in Djibouti, and it is domiciled at the Ministry of Economy and Finance since 2020. So I want to call upon my brother, Abdul Razak, to take the floor. Welcome.
Thank you very much, moderator, for your introductions. As our brother has already said, my name is Abdulrazak Ahmed Idris. I'm from Djibouti. Actually, I'm the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Finance and Economy. Since January 2020, I'm the head of Horn of Africa Secretariat. The Secretariat of Horn of Africa is a very small team, which is one team leader permanent and two person who are non-permanent. Since July 2021, we also hired for each country one advisor to the focal point. All country has also a focal point. For example, I'm the focal point of Djibouti, and we have in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in Somalia, focal points also. And the focal points are the director or maybe permanent secretary of each Ministry of Finance of those countries. Horn for Africa is based on following visions: to work together to build a prosperous, integrated, and peaceful Horn of Africa. It started in October 19. It was the formally launched in Addis Ababa, but in the sprint 2018-19, the Ministry of the 5 countries, Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia, had a meeting to discuss about this topic in Washington. The program of investment and complementary soft measure covering 4 pillars and planned investment exceeding $15 billion. There is, as I said, 5 countries who is members, and in May 2021, Sudan formally joined the Horn of Africa initiatives. There is 2 development partners which is working with us, namely European Union, African Development Bank, and World Bank. And we also had some discussion with the other partners, but they are not formally in the funding or participating to the initiatives, but it's welcomed. There is maybe the French agency, which is part of one of the project of these initiatives. Igad also participates to this initiative as an observer and resource of knowledge. As I said, the Horn of Africa initiatives is built on 4 pillars. The number 1 is infrastructure. The number 2 is trade and economic integration. The pillar number 3 is resilience. And the last one is human capital. For each pillar, we identified in 8 projects, and we have the four pillars, 18 project profiles. On pillar 1, for example, there is 2 sub pillars. We have the economic corridors. We have 4 priority groups of corridors covering 6,000 kilometers in totals. We have also the regional energy trade. This is the sub-pillar on energy. And we have also another pillar on digitalization to promote the single marketing digital market. On pillar 3, we deals about the trade facilitations and value chain. On pillar 3, it's the project on pastoral insurance and resilience, and also water boundary ground and the fighting about low costs, and also against the COVID. And pillar 3, which is the last pillar without financing, we are dealing about human capital, how to develop the skills, and how to make a link between cultural of people of the Horn of Africa. In fact, the pillar 1 and the pillar 2 are interrelated and mutually reinforcing. Pillar 1, it's hard actions, and pillar 2, it's soft actions. Concerning corridors, we identified 4 corridors. The number 1 is the corridors Kismayo, Lamu, and Mogadishu. The second one is the corridors Assab and Djibouti. The third one is Berbera and Djibouti. And the corridor 4 is Mogadishu, Berbera, and Bosaso. More details may be found in project profile posted on the website. So the initiative have its own website, Horn of Africa Initiatives.org. And concerning in Sudan, I think for the few days coming, maybe we will have another corridor from Sudan, the 5th corridors. So if the second slide, you can see, the whole corridors. I don't know if it's clear, but we have the whole corridors and the road between those corridors. So in Kismayo, Lamu, and Mogadishu, for example, it is a corridor of 3,093 kilometers. So we have the transition of Negele, Futsi, Futsi. So it's not very clear, but maybe the moderator will send you the presentations. And sub pillars on energy marketing, we have four main projects, and some of those projects are also in the document made by Igad that you have. One project is the second Ethiopia Djibouti power system interconnections, which is funded by World Bank and African Development Bank. And there is also three other projects: Ethiopia Eritrea transmission interconnection, Somalia power transmission backbone, and there's also some technical assistance and feasibility studies for additional power interconnection in the Horn for Africa regions, including Sudan. In digital marketing, there is also three major projects: regional digital infrastructure, Feston cable, and terrestrial links and backbone connections, regional data market, data infrastructure, cybersecurity, regulatory harmonization, and the last one is regional data service marketing, that's e-governance, cross-border digital payment. This is also related to digital ID under Pillar 4. Project preparation will start very soon. On the Pillar 2, mainly trade facilitation, but also value chain, there is a series of action needed to ensure economic corridors may be exploited to their full potentialities through facilitating at border. Projects supported by all three main development partners. Key issues identified in a study posted on the website and in the course of exchange during the annual workshop held in October 2020. Further exchanges planned during the forthcoming months. It is the priority for this Pillar 2, trade facilitation. So there is a lot of action, actually nine priority actions. HOA and final thoughts. HOA only covers regional projects. So for example, if the project must be eligible if it's between two countries, minimum between two countries, and also 3 countries and 4 countries, but the minimum eligibility is for two countries. The need to complement physical investments with soft policy actions is well understood, but not easy to implement without consensus building, which is the HOA Secretariat's promoting. The region remains fragile, and the initiatives aims to alleviate it by strengthening links between countries and promoting dialogue. For 2 years, Djibouti was shared these initiatives. In December the 5th, we will give the relay, as says French, in our friendly country, Kenya, and we will wish all the best to promote and to permit these initiatives to be alive and to benefit to our countries. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
We'll give them, I guess, another round of applause after we also hear from the second presentation. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, PS from Djibouti. At Igad Secretariat, we are bilingual. By charter, we are supposed to operate in 2 languages, English and French. And sometimes we actually pick a 3rd language, Arabic, when need requires or when there is sufficient quorum. But the official languages are English and French, and our brother here was generous to us to speak in the English language, which is not taught or even official in Djibouti, but he did a good job. Thank you very much. Without further ado, I want to call upon the second presentation. This is coming from the Kenya National Highways Authority, and we are really privileged to have the Director General himself, Engineer Kungu Ndungu, who is going to make the presentation entitled, again, Horn of Africa Initiative Projects, but coming from the regional point of view, he'll be focusing more on the ones that emanate from Kenya to the rest of the Horn of Africa. In a short bio, Engineer Kungu is a civil engineer. He graduated from the University of Nairobi. He also has a Master's of Business in Business Administration, and he has spent a lot of time since 1998 working in the road sector. At the moment, through the Kenya National Highways Authority, where he's the Director General, he's managing projects such as the Northern Corridor, the Mau Summit, Kericho, Kisumu Road, the Port of Mombasa, the roads in that area. And he's also been working on development, on project design and preparation for funding and implementing projects under the armpit of the Kenya National Highways Authority, which he has headed since 2020. So without further ado, I want to call Engineer Kungu to take the floor.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, delegates.
Good morning.
Perhaps we could have the PowerPoint presentation. We have a few slides on the Horn of Africa Gateway Development Projects. A few slides I'd like to take you through. Maybe to the next one. I don't have the... I'll take you through this because we all understand the need for connectivity so that we can have trade among ourselves. And if you listen to even the President of Kenya, I believe it was yesterday or so, when he spoke in South Africa, he talked about borders that were created by other authorities and not ourselves. And as we respect those borders, we are not moving forward as Africans because those borders have become a problem in many instances to us. And so in Kenya, we are developing a connection from Isiolo, and I'll shortly take you through the same. But just as an intro, we notice the countries that are there in Igad that we have gone through. But with regard to what we have on the screen now, we are developing a road of about 740 kilometers, and that is from Isiolo to Mandera, and that will afford a connection from Isiolo to Mandera and onwards to Ethiopia and Somalia. Now we note that the connection from where we are in Nairobi to Isiolo is already paved. So the connection also from Mombasa to Nairobi is also paved. Some sections are a dual carriageway. So this will offer us a connection basically from where we are seated in Nairobi all the way to Mandera. 740 kilometers, we have about $750 million from the World Bank, and also from various development partners such as ADB and the Arab banks. Next. There we note that we are looking at the development of this corridor, not just as a road. So one of the main items is optic fiber connection. some 740 kilometers of fiber will run along the road. We will also have about 200 kilometers of fiber to institutions such as schools, hospitals, etc., because we have been digitizing public services and public utilities. Therefore, this will offer a learning experience for the schools where you can communicate. We have all gone through COVID and realized the need for internet connectivity. We note that as part of this corridor development, we will have one-stop border posts at Kenya. We'll have, in Kenya, we'll have one at Mandera. We'll also have a river crossing to Ethiopia, River Dawa. Sorry, we seem to have lost connection. We'll also have one to River Dawa, maybe the last one, sorry. And for Mandera in Kenya, we are doing something. I believe Somalia will also be doing something with the World Bank. We are reaching out to our neighbors through our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Next. So this is just an indication of where we stand in terms of trade facilitation, where TRAMU, Kenya has done its bit. The Ethiopian side is yet to do their bit, but we expect them to come on board soon. We have another one on the Somali side. We are doing our part, but the part on the Somalia is not yet done. We seem to be having a connection problem for a technical hitch. Allow me to pick my iPad so that we can make progress. So I talked about the fiber optic connectivity, and in the project we are going to make that connection I was talking about of 740 kilometers and the 200 kilometers. And this ICT infrastructure is a lesson that we can all draw as African countries, that when we do a road, we also put it as a development corridor, instead of just doing a road just across the country. The current status, as we all know, is that the roads that we are talking about are more or less in this condition, that photo, whenever it rains very heavily. But we want to transform this into a highway, an international standard highway of 7 meters carriageway and 2 meters shoulders, and therefore afford cheaper transport across this region, and also a connection to our neighboring countries. And so we have about 4 key goals under this development project. We want to have economic dynamism along the regional economic corridors. We need a functioning regional market is one of our priorities. We wish to give access, quality access to the public. We also intend to have collective action to address the crisis of regional economic contagion or fragility. We realize that the areas we are passing through have been underdeveloped for many years, and therefore they require government assistance and intervention so as to quickly develop. We have about 4 key indicators. The average time moving from Isiolo to Mandera is about 3 days. The ones who are Kenyans, we know this. We'll reduce this to about 24 hours maximum. We also expect that public transport from Isiolo to Mandera will be much more available, because currently you have to almost wait for a bus or a truck, and it takes you quite some time to even get that. There are accidents that occur, of course, given the situation that we are on these roads, and that we expect it to be corrected. For border crossings, we intend to have a considerable improvement with our partner states, say at Ethiopia or at Somalia. once we have one-stop border post. We have all witnessed the benefits of one-stop border post, where a truck basically just goes through seamlessly from one country to the other to facilitate trade. Given the optic fiber connection, we expect public services to be available. In Kenya, you pay your taxes online, and we have the M-Pesa system for the money movement. So we also expect the benefits, of course, to the women and children. We have significant social safeguards in place as we undertake these projects. We intend to create a road management information system that will be set up to monitor the performance. And we'll also have a training component in terms of capacity building. One of the components is going to the University of Nairobi, where we'll develop an institute for land acquisition and corridor management for roads and other facilities. And this will be available as a regional training ground for all of us. We also have a component for KRA, Kenya Revenue Authority, who are undertaking some training with our neighboring states, Ethiopia, I believe, and Somalia. Now, these are the various components. The first one being Isiolo Kulamawe, 77 kilometers. The budget is about $85 million. We expect to hit the ground running. We have already launched the project with the World Bank. In January, we should be doing groundbreaking. The next one is Kulamawe. Is Kulamawe Modogashe, 113 kilometers. We also expect to do groundbreaking in January 2022. We have the next section of Modogashe Samata, which we are undertaking under a PPP arrangement. Financial close should be this month or early next month in December. About $80 million US dollars cost estimate. The length is 68 kilometers. We have Samata Wajir, 90 kilometers, to be upgraded as well with the Arab Banks Consortium. We expect works to start sometime in July 2022. We come to Wajir Tabaj, 55 kilometers, estimate about 81 US dollars million. And we expect to start works by July 2022. We have Tabaj Kotulo, 64 kilometers. Estimated cost 79 million US dollars, works to start in July 2022. Kotulo Kobo, 38 kilometers, 59 million US dollars estimated, works to start in December 2022. Kobo L works, similar start times, December 2022, 45 million US dollars, length of 21 kilometers. Avail Waklamu, 142 kilometers. The procurement for these works is ongoing, and we expect commencement by January 2023. Ramu Mandera, 72 kilometers, $120 million. We expect to get to financial close either this month, end of this month, early next month, and then we can proceed to works. I'd wish delegates to take you through briefly other connectivity routes for the region. And the first one is the Lapset corridor, starting from Lamu, and we proceed up to Isiolo, and you can go north because Isiolo Moyale is already paved. There is a connection that is missing, as we'll see, between Isiolo and the corridor to South Sudan. The next, maybe next slide. So in summary, the connections of from Lamu, we have the 7 kilometers within Lamu town, which is available. We have Lamu Ijana to Garissa, about 249 kilometers, whose stage construction is ongoing. We have Galisa Kulamawe, which is under procurement. Kulamawe, Isiolo, of course, we've gone through that. Isiolo, Moyale, 500 kilometers. It's available for use as we stand today. For Isiolo to Malala to connect to the Sudan corridor, about 368 kilometers, the designs have been done, and we are looking for funding to connect the two corridors. That is the one to Ethiopia, to Moyale, and the one to the west towards South Sudan. For the South Sudan link load, and the World Bank projects, these projects are complete, practically complete, all of them, upgraded to international standards. And therefore, we are saying that when you look at the map of Kenya, whether you use Mombasa Port or you use the port of Lamu to move the goods, it is available for your goods within the region. I want to quickly go through the Northern Corridor. The Northern Corridor, as we know, from Mombasa to our Malaba border with Uganda. And for this section, as we all know, it is paved from end to end, but there are some congestion issues that we have experienced. So through Nairobi, we have the improvements that I'm sure most of you have seen, the expressway that is coming up, so that we ease off the movement. To the east of Nairobi, we have also dualed, quite a section, almost 30 kilometers. And to the west, we are also dualing, so that we ease the congestion through Nairobi. We also have a PPP project that is coming up that will run from Nairobi through Nakuru to Mau Summit. And we are negotiating with the project company to close hopefully sometime early next year. So there will be a dual carriageway all the way from Nairobi through Nakuru, 150 kilometers away from here, and another 50 kilometers from Nakuru to Mau Summit. And beyond that, we are also planning another PPP to move from Mau Summit all the way to Malaba, so that we'll have a duo basically from Nairobi all the way to our border with Uganda. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Kenya is ready for business. We are developing our ports, we are also developing our railways, and we are also developing our roads, and we are keen on business so that we can trade among ourselves. I thank you.
After those two packed presentations, starting with the regional outlook and getting an example of a national outlook, how we are connecting to each other, I wish to ask you again to give the two presenters another round of applause, please. Thank you very much, Engineer. Thank you very much, PS Abdul Razak. I hand over now to Zakaria Kingori to moderate discussions. He will moderate from the back where the big banner is. We know that Engineer Kungu Ndungu needs to run to another national engagement, but I'm sure he will bear with us and give us just a few minutes for the discussion. So over to you, Bwana Kingori.
Thank you, Brazil, and thank you, PS Abdurazak, and Kenha Director General Engineer Kongo for the two presentations, which show us that the region means business, and we are set to connect the region. And now, without wasting more time, I would like to invite the participants, those who may be having questions or any more information to add to the presentation, to take the floor. So the floor is open. Any questions, contribution? Okay, we have Sudan. Sudan, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is, I would like first to thank the two presenters for their very good and enlightful and presentations and useful ones. My question is to our brother Abdulrazak about the Horn of Africa initiative. If you can, my first question is related to the, you know that in the 4 pillars, in the last ministerial meeting of the, I think it was in August, there was a proposal from Sudan to add a 5th pillar to that initiative, which is the food security. So I would like to ask, how far are we there? And the second question is regarding the membership of our sisters and brothers from South Sudan. And the third question is the projects with Eritrea, in the fact that Eritrea is not, now currently they are not part of Igad, but how far the projects with Eritrea are going on now. Thank you very much.
Any more questions, contributions from participants? While we wait for more questions, we give the floor to PS Abdulrazak to reply to Sudan's query.
Thank you very much, moderator. Maybe I speak in French because there is the translations.
Technology really truly works. So if you can just put on your headphone, channel 1 for, is it channel 1 for English? Yeah? That's channel? Oh, just switch on and it will be.
Merci beaucoup pour le distingué délégué du Soudan pour la question. Effectivement, il y a 4 piliers qui ont été arrêtés lors des négociations d'octobre 2019 par les ministres des États, les ministres de l'économie et des finances des États membres et les partenaires. Soudan a adhéré à l'initiative en mai 2021. Ils sont venus avec des propositions qui sont très intéressantes. Je crois que c'était au mois de mars que, au mois de juin, que le Soudan avait participé aux premières réunions du ministre de l'économie et des finances de Horn for Africa. À l'époque, ils avaient proposé aussi qu'ils avaient 2 propositions. La première, c'était que d'ajouter un pilier numéro 5 sur la sécurité alimentaire. Les ministres ont adopté cette vision parce que c'est vrai que la sécurité alimentaire est quelque chose qui concerne la Corne de l'Afrique et l'Afrique en général. C'est important et je crois que les ministres ont bien accueilli. Mais des discussions techniques devaient être suivies par après. Donc, il était question d'organiser une session sur comment intégrer justement la sécurité alimentaire comme pilier. Mais on peut aussi intégrer la sécurité alimentaire parmi les 2 autres piliers, les piliers 3 et les piliers numéro 4. Parce que la sécurité alimentaire, c'est aussi une question de résilience. La sécurité alimentaire est importante pour le développement du capital humain. Donc, quelque part, l'idée, elle était là, mais pourquoi ne pas aussi scinder, tout comme au départ, les piliers numéro 3, résilience et capital humain étaient un seul pilier. Il y a justement cette possibilité de pouvoir prendre en considération cela. Mais pour des raisons pratiques aussi, nous ne devons pas multiplier les différents piliers. Donc s'il y a déjà des piliers qui sont pratiquement à peu près pareils, l'intérêt c'est de pouvoir les garder ensemble. Les négociations ou les discussions ne sont pas encore rompues. Je crois qu'il y a les partisans de ceux qui disent qu'il y a déjà les piliers 3 et 4 qui intègrent d'une manière ou d'une autre la sécurité alimentaire. Eux, il y a ceux qui soutiennent qu'il faut un pilier sur cela. Mais les discussions sont toujours en cours de route et ne sont pas encore finalisées. Pour la question de l'adhésion du Sud-Soudan, c'est aussi une question qui avait été posée par les ministres Mohamed Djibril, les chefs d'État, les ministres de l'économie et des finances n'ont pas, je pense qu'ils ne verront pas d'objection. Je vais peut-être un peu m'avancer par rapport à ça, ils n'y verront pas d'objection, mais le Soudan vient de rejoindre l'initiative Horn for Africa. Et déjà, ça va demander une rediscussion parce que les propositions de projets que vous avez vues, le profil que vous avez vu n'inclut pas encore le Soudan. Donc il faut travailler pour que des projets du Soudan soient inclus. Il va y avoir certainement un corridor numéro 5 qui part de Port-Soudan. Maintenant, pour le Sud-Soudan, l'idée a un sens. A un sens parce que c'est vraiment un pays de la Corne de l'Afrique qui a besoin d'avoir des sorties parce qu'il est enclavé. C'est un pays qui est jeune, qui a besoin d'être appuyé, mais les procédures telles que c'est fait aujourd'hui, je crois que le Sud-Soudan peut demander au prochain chair écrire un courrier officiel demandant son adhésion. Et puis lors d'une réunion de ministres de Horn for Africa, ils décideront de la démarche à suivre. Mais l'idée de l'adhésion fait un sens. Pour la question de l'Érythrée, l'Érythrée est membre de la Horn for Africa, mais pour vous dire la vérité, ils n'ont jamais été actifs dans l'initiative. Donc ils n'ont jamais participé à des réunions, ils n'ont jamais émis des souhaits de propositions de projets. Mais ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est que Horn for Africa, c'est d'abord une intégration politique à travers la paix. Et les ministres ont décidé de maintenir l'Érythrée dans le groupe, mais pas l'en sortir, parce que ce n'est pas l'objectif recherché. L'objectif de la Horn for Africa, ce n'est pas d'écarter un pays qui est membre de la zone. S'il n'est pas actif aujourd'hui, peut-être il le sera plus tard. Donc les ministres ont décidé de le maintenir, quoi qu'il en coûte, bien qu'ils n'ont jamais participé à aucune réunion, si ce n'est peut-être la première, où c'était l'ambassade de l'Érythrée à Addis qui avait fait cette participation. Quant à sa participation à l'Igad, je pense que je vais laisser les soins aux responsables de l'Igad de pouvoir dire qu'est-ce qu'il en est. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Djibouti. We continue with the questions from participants. Any more questions from participants? Again, while we wait, I want to also take the other side as a participant in this roundtable and inquire from the Director General of Kenya National Highways Authority about the I know Kenya is well connected with Uganda, but there was a third. There was another connection through, I think, Swam, and Kenya was doing Kitale Swam, and then Uganda was also doing Swam to Kiguli, so that we have Kenya and Uganda also is connected through a third border post. I don't know how far this has been done. And then also, I don't know whether I missed some information from the presentation, how far Kenya is connecting to South Sudan through the Nadapa border post. Those are the two questions I would request Kenha, the Director General of Kenha, to just update us on the status. And then after that, we'll give the floor to Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. The two issues you have raised, you are right. There is the connection between Kenya and Uganda through Swam. The Kitale Swam road is under construction. The project is ongoing. A few hiccups here and there, but it is ongoing, and it will include also the development of a one-stop border post. With regard to our connection to South Sudan, in one of the slides, I highlighted the development of that corridor from Lodwar all the way to the border with Sudan. There is a gap that is existing between us and South Sudan, and I believe this is taken up within government. There's a short section that has not been taken up for construction, but the rest of the projects are practically complete, except for the last section towards Kenya of about 40 kilometers, whose progress is quite good. So the corridor to South Sudan from Kenya is under development. Rather, it is complete for the upper section in Turkana. For the lower section, we should be starting some works around Eldoret to Kitale in the next few months. I thank you.
Thank you, DG. Now the floor is for Kenya.
Thank you very much, moderator. I would like to thank the two presenters for the good presentations. It's actually not a question, it's a comment. When the Director General Kenha was making his presentation, he mentioned the need for our two neighbors, Ethiopia and Somalia, to engage with Kenya, because Kenya has already committed funds to connect to the two countries at Ramu for Ethiopia, where we shall be constructing a bridge and a one-stop border post. It is important that to complete that connection for purposes of trade facilitation, there is need for the two countries to collaborate. At Mandera, where we shall also be doing a one-stop border post to Somalia, it is also important to have coordination of the two countries. Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kenya, has written quite a while ago, a few months ago, to Ethiopia and Somalia, requesting for their transport ministers to engage the transport minister for Kenya, so that we can form a joint coordination committee for purposes of engaging, particularly because of the issues of trade facilitation, as well as other activities around the border. we note that this is a dated covenant under the Horn of Africa Gateway Development Project, and we are supposed to have formed that joint coordination committee by the end of December this year. So it is important that maybe Igad, through Igad Secretariat, we are requesting that we get support to ensure that this joint coordination committee is established before the end of this year. The other issue that I would like to mention, and it is part of the presentation that was made by my colleague, Engineer Kungu, is the design of the road from Garissa to Liboi. Liboi around the border with Somalia. Under the Horn of Africa Gateway Development Project, we are undertaking a design review of that road. And what is critical for Igad Secretariat to note is that we do not have financing for that section. So we shall be looking for funding so that we are able to connect with Somalia at Liboi, where we can also do another one-stop border post. What is also significant to note is for purposes of trade facilitation, under that Horn of Africa Gateway project, the Kenya Revenue Authority will also be doing or establishing some units along custom units along the corridor, so that issues of trade facilitation can be enhanced. So those are my comments, Moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenya, for that contribution and the request to Igad, which has been noted. Now we give the floor to South Sudan.
Thank you very much. I would like to register my thanks for the two representatives about the comprehensiveness of the issues that they raised. And also will thank a brother from Sudan for bringing up the issue of including South Sudan in the Horn of Africa organization. And we thank you for that, and I think also this has been the intention. And we also thank the Permanent Secretary of Djibouti, Minister of Finance, to clarify that the organization is only waiting for the response of South Sudan or the expression of interest of South Sudan, whether they would like to join or not. This session has been very much educating, and this is very, very key. What I learned specifically from the DG of Road Authority is just similar to what conventional wisdom tells us. You know, if you want to integrate, if you want to integrate with people, then you have to do it integrate within yourself. And I am very much impressed by the projects, road projects that are taking place within Kenya itself. You know, very impressive. And then 2 or 3 extension to the integration agenda. We are also doing the same. We are doing some integration projects, things. We hope to link up with Kenya and also with okay, we are improving the road to normally. But what I want to ask for my own education is this. I understand that most of the projects that have been are ongoing, and that are going to commence very soon. This project, the importance of this question is that we would like also to follow suit. We would like also to talk of integration, so that we are helped also to connect, to achieve connectivity within our country. So our country is suffering within, and of course, with the integration to the other countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, South Sudan. I think we also take from Sudan so that the presenters can be able to have enough to respond to. Sudan?
Thank you very much, moderator. I would like also I'm very sorry to take the floor for the second time. My question to Engineer Kumu is regarding the big elephant in the room. That is the finance for infrastructure in Igad region. When we look to Kenya, I find that Kenya is far more developed than the other countries of Igad. I mean, you have a very vibrant private sector. You have a well-developed, I can say that, capital market. You have, you have also the level of taxation is very high as a percentage of GDP compared with other parts of other countries of Igad. My question is, in your experience in Kenya Highways Authority, what was the role of the private sector in the projects that are implemented or designed by Kenya Highways Authority, and also the possibilities of public-private partnership in the construction of highways? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sudan. We give the floor to the Director General Kenha to respond to those two queries and also comments made by South Sudan and Sudan.
Thank you, Moderator, for those questions. Thank you, fellow delegates. The first question on whether regional integration is a consideration for funding some of these roads. The answer is yes, in the sense that even within the East African community, we have those designated road corridors that are supposed to enhance our integration as a bloc, as a trading bloc. But of course, when it comes to project preparation, it needs to be viable, and also the studies have to start a bit earlier, the normal preliminary designs, feasibility studies, etc. It is true that this takes a bit of time, but also when you get proper funding, some of these projects are really transformational. And so, yes, regional connectivity is one of the key issues that kicks in, especially for the projects that we have done, connecting to South Sudan and also connecting to Ethiopia and Somalia. For the second question on the role played by private sector, ourselves as Kenya National Highways Authority, we do not own a single piece of equipment. All construction is done by private players. Almost all the designs we do are done by private players. So at the beginning of that, we do of course, the oversight, and of course we'll give the requirements as the employer. We do have a lot of engineers and very well qualified engineers who oversight the consultants. But by and large, we depend on private sector support to document these projects, and of course, to implement these projects. And further, the question on funding. Funding, as we all realize, in many places, in many countries, funding is becoming a big issue, where governments would wish to get development that is off the national debt. And therefore, PPP is one of the areas where we are building capacity, both as a country and as an institution as KENHA, to the extent that we foresee that many of our projects going forward will be depending on private capital. Would that capital be from the Republic of Kenya? Would it be from external sources? That we shall see. But we are ready to receive that to implement projects. So to us, the private sector is one of the key players in our growth. As I've said, in terms of our project documentation, implementation, and now we are moving to financing. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Ndongo. Any more questions? Seems we have exhausted the questions and the comments from the delegates. So over to you, Brazil. We go to the next stage.
Thank you very much, Kingori, for that moderation. And we come to an end to our morning session. And we're just about to, and we kept time, actually. We've just run off with 3 minutes, though we started a bit late. So two announcements. One is to the heads of delegations from Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, and Uganda. If you can just, for the closing ceremony, which we intend to do just before lunch, if the heads of delegation would join us on the podium to give very brief observation, general observation of the 2.5 days that we've been here, and two, to also just give us, in their own words, what they see as the way forward in the context of the Igad regional infrastructure master plan. So that is one announcement. The second announcement is that each delegation and also our development partners will be receiving a copy, courtesy of the Igad Secretariat, of the Industrializing Africa magazine. So please, as you go out, pick your 2 copies from the reception desk, our reception desk. But if you need more copies, the publishers of this magazine, which is quite bulky, and I see they've actually captured the Africa Continental Free Trade Area as their main story. You can actually have extra copies at a cost of $15 US, 15 US dollars, also available to the delegates outside. So those are the announcements I have. We will resume at exactly, say, 11 or 5, so that we can then have our final presentation and then have our closing ceremony. So thank you. Enjoy your health break. Thank you. Once again, thanks for the presenters, Engineer Kungu and PS Abdurazak, and we appreciate your being with us today. Thank you.